How long is your memory? How long before you forget things? For the Israelites, it only took 3 days. Welcome to the Word for 2021, and today we're in Exodus chapter 16. Now in chapter 15, verse 22, we read that it only took 3 days from the time that the people saw the parting of the Red Sea. It only took 3 days from witnessing the destruction of all of Pharaoh's army. It only took 3 days from singing a song of deliverance for the people to start grumbling and complaining. You would think that they would have a longer memory than that. After all, God brought 10 plagues upon Egypt, but for those in Goshen, they didn't experience those plagues. God brought them out of captivity with a strong, mighty hand. He got rid of all of their enemies in one fell swoop. If God could do all of that, could He bring them water to drink? Well, the answer is yes. But they forgot about all that God had previously done, and they only thought about what was taking place at that moment, and they forgot God's power and His might. But God was gracious and compassionate to them. He had them there in front of water that was bitter. He told Moses to simply take a board, a piece of wood, and throw it into the water. Then miraculously, the water turned from being bitter to sweet. God did a miracle for them. And then He led them to 12 springs that had 70 palm trees. God provided for them. And now as we read chapter 16, verse 2, again, just weeks later, all the community, it says, started grumbling and complaining against Moses and Aaron. They even said, if only we had died in Egypt. And then they thought, there in Egypt, we sat around pots of meat and ate all that we wanted. Have you ever heard the term selective memory disorder? Well, that's exactly what the Israelites were having at that moment. They were selective in their memory. They forgot all about the years of slavery that they had endured. They forgot about the oppression and the fact that they were abused, how they were driven ruthlessly, and how many of them were killed. They forgot all of that and only remembered what they wanted to remember. Their memory was actually a fantasy. It was selective memory. Here in chapter 16, God was gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in love towards all of His people. In fact, He even gave them meat. He gave them bread to eat, manna that came from heaven. It was angel food. God was providing for them in the midst of their grumbling and complaining. There's 3 things that we need to understand about grumbling. First, grumbling is a gratitude problem. You're not thinking of all the blessings that you have received, but you're only looking at the moment. You're not thinking about the past, but just what you're experiencing now. Grumbling is a gratitude problem. God has been so good to them, and they were forgetting that. Grumbling is also a perception problem. You're not looking at things correctly. They were not seeing God all around them. They were only seeing their own need. It was a perception problem. And when they thought about the past, it was selective memory. Plus, grumbling is a contagious problem. It not only was affecting them, but it was affecting all of those that were listening to them as well. God does not want us to be grumblers or complainers. Here's what we know about complainers. Complainers will always find something to complain about. It doesn't matter what's happening, they will always see the negative side to everything. Grumblers, complainers, they've already failed the test. As we read chapter 16, we understand that God was literally giving them a test. He was seeing, would they follow His instructions? He gave them manna in which they had to go and collect every single day except on the Sabbath. Still, people did not listen, and they did not follow instructions. Complainers, they've already failed the test. That's not only true then, but it's true today. Complainers, they're always looking for someone to blame. They never take responsibility for their own actions, their own decisions, but they're always wanting to blame someone else. Complainers, they're never satisfied with what they're given, and they're never satisfied with the amount that they're given. Grumbling and complaining, that is not what God wants from His people. He wants us to be grateful. Don't look at just what's happening right this moment, but look in the past, because if God was good then, He'll be good again. If God was able to do something before, He can do it now. And so put your focus not on your problems, but on the problem solver, the one who can do all things, and that is God. Thank you for joining the Word for 2021.